Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Cam Morris. I'm with the Fullscript marketing team, and I'm super excited today to introduce you to today's webinar. Nothing attracts high-quality patients to your practice more effectively than an engaging and thought-provoking live presentation given by the best spokesperson for your practice, and that's you. Today, we'll be learning from a couple experts in the field. Mark J. Tagger, MD, and his partner Robert Hughes from ChangeWell Inc. Has given over 1,000 live talks himself. Along with that, having loads of experience conducting presentation coaching for healthcare practitioners just like you. He's conducted training at A4M, Duke, Osher, and others as well. He's authored or co-authored 10 books, some of which surround the topic that we'll be tackling today. And with that being said as well, we will today be drawing content from these two books, Enhance Your Presence and Cash Pay Healthcare, which are both available on Amazon. As well, during today's webinar, you'll have a chance to win a copy of these books. So that's pretty exciting stuff. And without any further delay, I would like to welcome Mark J. Tagger, MD, and Robert Hughes to the webinar. I hope you all enjoy, and take it away, guys. Thank you very much for joining us.
28,750. Now, depending upon what it's referring to, this might be a small, a medium, or a large number. So let's provide a little bit of context and put a dollar sign in front of it. $28,750. Now, question, how excited would you be if you could get an additional 28K for your business? How might you use this extra revenue? Now, I didn't pull this figure out of the air. It comes from an IFM study, Institute for Functional Medicine, in which they surveyed their practitioners and those who replied that public speaking was, quote, a very effective patient recruiting method, earned $28,750 a year more than their counterparts. And keep in mind that this $28,000 was an average. Some people earned actually more than this. Now, there are many reasons to hone your public speaking abilities. Some of you, I know, you just love to teach and train. You're passionate about sharing your knowledge and your synthesis of health and healing. We found this is particularly true of individuals in the integrative functional wellness and the anti-aging disciplines. If you speak at meetings and conferences, what do you want? You want to get great ratings. Maybe even some of you, you know what? You want to change the world. You want to make it a healthier, safer, more environmentally friendly place. But today, we're going to actually be focusing on the major marketing benefit of delivering a great healthcare presentation to your prospects and to your patients. You can attract more clients into your practice and gain greater revenue. And we've set forth 5 objectives for this talk, and we're going to cover each one in turn. We'll help you understand why your live talk can attract patients easier and faster than almost everything else you can do. 2, we'll discuss what to include in your talk and how to structure it. 3, you'll learn how to turn your presentation anxiety into a source of genuine strength. 4, we'll focus on one of the greatest challenges for healthcare professionals, how to be ethical, professional, compelling, and persuasive without trying to sell anything. And finally, we'll provide you with the best ways to convert attendees at your talk into the new patients who come into your waiting room. Now, in this webinar, our emphasis is going to be placed on how to craft and position your presentation. In the music world, this is composing. It's how to write your song. We'll be providing a few performance tips as we go along, but you know what? That's not the major focus of this webinar. We have, however, put together some great free resources to help you deliver your presentations more effectively, and we'll tell you how to get these a little later on. In the webinar invitation, you may have noticed that Robert and I will be giving out some free copies of our Enhance Your Presence book. We're going to ask you to respond to our questions by typing a 1-word answer in the chat box. Now, we've selected some random numbers, and if your answer falls in the queue on one of those numbers, you'll win a book. So let's do the first giveaway now. We've just talked about a number of motivators for doing a good presentation. These include your desire to teach and train, your desire to perform well and get good ratings, a passion to change the world, and finally, the ability to make more revenue. So what we'd like you to do right now is just take a minute and in the chat box, type the one word that best matches your motivation for giving a great presentation. Ready? Go. Type away. Hit that chat box. Great. We've selected our first winner, and you'll be contacted by email, and you'll just need to give us your address, and we'll get a book out to you. So let's turn now to our first objective and answer the question, why are live talks one of the most effective ways to generate more patients? The answer to this question lies in the power of the practitioner's presence. In our PresentWell training programs, we'll often ask attendees, how big a ripple do you want to make? How influential do you want to be? Now, most practitioners want to draw patients from a radius of about 20 miles from their office, but there are others who want to be known statewide, nationally, and even internationally. No matter how big you want to become, here's what you need to know. That the best way to grow your business is to enhance your presence. But what is presence? Presence is an intentionally generated state of human consciousness arising from mindful attentiveness to one's own self and another human being. Now, this is a diagram from our Enhance Your Presence book, and it shows how practitioners can put their presence to work for them. The process begins with two seemingly divergent forces you see at the left, attention and intention. To have an effective presence, you must pay attention to others, to attend to the recipients of your message. This is an extroverted effort. At the same time, you're driven by an inner force, your intention. What is your purpose? What do you want to achieve and why? Now, we're going to come back to the importance of intention in just a moment. You then take this blend of attention and intention and combine it with the core skills you need to engage, inform, and motivate your audience. Chances are you weren't taught these skills in your training, and we cover them in our Enhance Your Presence book and in our training courses. You can learn them. If you want to captivate your audience, then you must present with passion. You believe in the importance of your message, and you let everyone in the audience know this by virtue of your words, voice, pacing, gestures, and body movements. So, what's the goal of all these steps? Now, let's return for just a moment to your intention. Is it your goal to sell the attendees on your products and services? If this is uppermost in your mind, you'll rarely be successful because most people sniff out and respond negatively to buying pressure. Throughout this presentation, we're going to continue to reinforce what we believe should be the ultimate goal of any great presentation. It should ignite a possibility in the minds and the hearts of those attending your talk. In other words, if you believe in a possibility for others and you present it with passion, no one can refute you. People may disagree with you. They may try to discount you, but they can't refute your sense of purpose and passion. Now, there are a number of consumer presentations that you might give. The audience might be large, small, or medium. There are presentations that you'll give in which you know the audience. They could be your existing patients and invited guests or groups to which you belong. You'll most likely be familiar with these attendees. There are also presentations where you're not familiar with the audience. These could be public presentations with a diverse group of individuals or a corporate talk. Maybe you've been invited or even requested to speak. Now, later on, we're going to cover some tips for how to navigate in these less well-known waters. One thing you need to remember, however, is that the power of your presence will be influenced by the medium in which you deliver it. When you're one-on-one with a patient, your presence is at its strongest. It's a bold, full-body red wine. You're sitting several feet away from them. You're tending to them. You're making eye contact. You have open, inviting body language. You're leaning in. Your voice reflects your caring. You're probing for their motivations for change. In short, you are present and your patient feels and knows it. Now, when you move from one to one to many, and when you give a talk, for example, it's as if you've diluted the red wine a bit. You need to work a little harder, to be bolder, to be more masterful in grabbing and holding the audience's attention. There are way too many distractions whenever people congregate. Other media naturally dilute the power of your message, video, audio, and print. Now, they can have great impact, but they really involve fewer senses, so they are inherently more diluted. But for those of you who can really master the art of giving an effective one-to-many healthcare presentation, your impact can be great. You can be that bold, dark wine. Now, at this point, I'm going to actually turn off my presence and introduce you to my business colleague and partner in ChangeWell Training Academy. Robert Hughes is a marketing strategist and a brand advocate, as well as a media business entrepreneur. He's a former White House TV news correspondent. He's won many, many awards for his writing and producing. Robert will be focusing his attention and his intention on exploring the possibilities of attracting new patients to your practice. Robert.
Thanks, Mark, and hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Let's think about what you're doing today to attract new patients and build your practice. If you're a typical practice and you have a website, you may be doing some kind of advertising in support of it. You might also be doing some social media. We know from our own research with hundreds of practitioners that it's very likely that you may be somewhat unhappy with the results you're getting. Some of you we know are very unhappy. As a marketing guy with decades of experience in lots of different businesses, including healthcare, I've always looked at marketing as a puzzle, and the goal is a marketing strategy that connects and locks in with the customer. When Mark and I started working together with practitioners in integrative and functional medicine and aesthetics, I began to ask, where can I find out what customers think? One of the first places I looked was Yelp. Now, I know that nobody loves it, few people respect it, and everybody worries about the damage that just one bad review can do. But that was not my interest. I just wanted to know, when it comes to healthcare, what do people talk about? Because if they talk about it, they'll probably write about it, and it's probably important to them. So I wanted to see then, after that, what do practitioners say about themselves on their own website? And are they talking to customers in a language that customers understand? So here's what I found. On the left, you see a biography from a doctor's website. On the right, you see an actual review by a patient of the same doctor. Let's look quickly at the doctor's bio. Traditional naturopathic approaches, homeopathy, energy healing, craniosacral therapy, visceral manipulation, NET, EFT. In other words, method, processes, and techniques, what we do when you get in the office. But on the patient side, see if you see any of that. Actually, what you see is the patient talking about how easy it was to work with the doctor, the feelings and symptoms the patient had when they went in and what the doctor did. Look at this. Suggested a few things for me to try. This is really simple, basic language. And you can see that the patient is focused on problems, solutions, and results. So, all right, this is one bio on one website and one patient review. Can we get a larger sample? And yeah, so what we did was we copied all of the text on every page of the doctor's website and all of the text in all of the Yelp reviews for the same doctor, and we made 2 word clouds. We used a free generator, word cloud generator online. You can see them side by side. The larger the word, the more often it appears, and this makes it very clear that the doctor and the patients do not possess a common language. This makes it really hard to communicate, and it may explain why you're not happy with your marketing. What you're doing isn't communicating with your patient or with your patients. I got a lot of experience writing and producing ad campaigns for clients, and I can tell you that practitioners are like every advertiser. They send out messages, could be by paid ads in magazines, radio, TV, social media, and the messages fall into a couple of broad types. For example, there's the "We're number one" ad, bragging about the reputation of the business, presenting testimonials, awards, honors, diplomas, certificates, and so on. There's the patient buzzword ad, focusing on words like all natural or holistic, on the assumption that the patient understands that this is something of benefit to them, and it will attract patients. Then there's the technology ad, promoting a specific treatment or technology, assuming that the patient knows what it is, why they need it, and why they should get it from you if in fact they do need it. And then of course there's the ultimate, the discount. When you can't think of anything else to do, you cut the price because now that it's cheaper, they'll come running, right? Well, not often. But don't get me wrong, each of these is a tactic that could be used, but what's missing, I think, is a couple of things. First of all, a well thought out top to bottom communication strategy, a powerful, intimate connection with the customer, those two things. We know that before picking a doctor, more and more people are doing online searches, they're reading reviews, they're talking to friends about their doctor experiences. Do you have a good eye doctor? How's your dentist? You know, that kind of stuff. What are they looking for? Well, I think it's two things, two very important questions. Can you help me? Customers know that they need help and they want to know if you can help them. Now, I submit to you that they can read your CV and still have absolutely no idea if you can actually help them. But even if they become convinced that you have a good education and you're highly respected and board certified, they still have one other question. Are you the right doctor for me? And here what they're trying to figure out is simple to describe, but really hard to resolve. And it's this: given who you are and who they are, would they get along with you? Would they trust you? Would they feel comfortable with you? Mayo Clinic did a survey asking patients to identify the qualities of a great doctor. Look at these. These are qualities not of a doctor, but of a human being. They're not line items on a resume. Let's do a quick quiz for a chance to win a book. If a practitioner had all or most of these traits that you've just seen, pick the best word that describes them. We would say that they have A, professionalism, B, personality, C, presence, or D, celebrity. Go ahead and pick the best word, type your answer into the chat box right now, and we'll award a book to somebody random who responds. Now, having all these traits, it's awesome. But does it make for good advertising and promotion? You could try to run an ad claiming that the doctor has all these qualities, but I wouldn't want to be your copywriter. I mean, come see Dr. Aardvark. He's friendly, kind, and funny too. Now look, he might be all those things, but don't you think the patient is saying, don't tell me that, show me. I want to see the doctor be all those things. University of Chicago did a survey asking, what do patients want? And the length of the bar indicates the strength of the response, and the ranking indicates the relative importance compared to other qualities. And I'm going to highlight some of these in pink. Now take a look at the ones in pink. Listens, attentive, caring, bedside manner, personality traits, time with patients, communication, accessible, attention to detail, medical values and philosophy, puts patients first. Those are all really about engagement, not education, not experience, not reviews or testimonials, and not owning and using the latest technology. Here again, patients want a doctor who displays a sense of presence. And that's the answer to the quiz. So look at this. Accurate diagnosis and competence comes in at number 2, so it's really important. But look at the other things. Knowledgeable, that would be, where you went to medical school, your education, your training and experience. Relatively less important than those human qualities that indicate presence. So yeah, patients do think that education and competence are important, but those qualities, as we've just seen, are ranked lower, and there are fewer of them than all the ones that relate to what kind of a human being you are. So if this is how patients think, you need a strategy that really communicates your presence. And I would say that we know for sure that people make choices based on emotion. They want to experience your presence. That means you need a marketing and communication strategy that delivers that experience. And for that to happen, they need to spend some time with you. For the sake of your time, it would be better to do it in a group. And during that time, you have an opportunity to demonstrate knowledge, caring, compassion, commitment, and so on. The best way, we think, give a talk, become their teacher. So the strategy we're talking about today is called education-based marketing. And what it means is that the practice and the practitioner have made the strategic decision to focus their marketing efforts on educating prospective patients. This strategy rests on an intention to provide real value without asking anything in advance or in return. You deliver information, you do it in a way that allows the audience to experience your humanity. And we'll tell you some ways that you can do that. The goal of your presentation is to open up new possibilities for each member of the audience. The ultimate success of your presentation is that as they listen to you, life changes right there in their seat because you have helped them to catalyze action by showing them some new possibilities. If you do this live on stage in a one-to-many presentation, they get to spend time with you, and in that time they get to experience your humanity, which helps them understand that you could help them. And it answers their second biggest question, are you the right doctor? This is a serious strategy. It's an organized plan that will help you earn respect by demonstrating knowledge, gain trust by asking nothing in return, increase your influence by demonstrating that you are an expert. People who do not become your patients could still become a source of referrals. Those who are your patients now will point to your presentation as the reason why they chose you, and they're loyal to you. You'll develop immunity to price-cutting competitors who come in and offer the same thing you do at a discount, because the real service, the real value in the service comes from you, not from the discount. You'll be able to motivate people to take action, not through hype or pressure, but by simply inviting. Let me give you a made-up example. This is a basketball stadium. Here are the rules of the game. We paid the audience members to show up. We handed them the money on the way in the door, and we told them, you had to come to get paid, but you got the money. You don't have to stay unless you want to. You can leave anytime for any reason. So you come out and you give this talk. I'm here to tell you why you should come see us for bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. What do you think is going to happen? Probably something like this, a lot of empty seats. Now, is it because most people, quote, aren't interested? I would say no. It's actually because in any crowd, no matter how large or small, they could be divided into market segments based on intent to buy right now. Give you an example. Millions of people own car insurance, but every month policies expire, and it's those folks who are this month's active buyers. They're looking to buy. Next month, after they've renewed, they're not interested. Active buyers in any crowd could be as high as 10%, but that means that 90% would describe themselves as some flavor of not interested. But hold on, is it not interested or is it unaware? If we made a simple design tweak, could we create a talk on hormones that would interest potentially everyone? What happens if we shift the focus from the treatment to the symptoms and then to the benefits? What happens if our topic appeals instantly from the very first words to everyone, even those who have no idea that hormone replacement even exists? What would happen if you gave the same talk, but just changed the topic? My topic today is why we feel fat, tired, achy, and cranky, and what we can do about it. In this talk, you reveal that these symptoms are related to the body's declining production of hormones. You show how medical science can address the problem with hormone replacement, and you explain how they might feel as a result of the treatment. And then you invite them to take some simple, low-risk action like filling out a card or sending a text. So Mark, my partner, is well known as one of the leading healthcare, don't take the microphone away. I'm not done talking yet. Mark really is good. If you've ever seen him talk, you know why he has earned a reputation as one of the leading speakers in healthcare.
So we're talking about the importance of familiarizing yourself with the audience and getting to a presentation early so you can grab some names and have a sense of comfort and familiarity with the audience. And I also want to point out that many of you are cursed. Now, I know you don't want to really hear that, the fact that you're cursed, but you have the curse of knowledge. So you know too much. And consequently, two things sort of happen. The first thing is that because you're so smart, you assume that others know as much about a subject as you do. Or you have to, in fact, convince them how smart you are. So you load up on slides, the amount of copy on each one, the graphs, the charts. You know what it's like? It's like trying to make people drink from a fire hose. So Robert and I have a few simple axioms. The first is that the mind is simple and easily confused. The second is less is more. So use fewer slides, less copy on each one. And three, if something's important, repeat it. So I'm going to do that right now. Less is more. In fact, if you can boil things down to one simple image, that in fact is a great thing to do, and it's a really helpful way to begin your presentation. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about structure, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach one method, and Robert will show you another one. I'm going to talk about the sandwich approach to creating a presentation. First of all, it's built around 3 or 5 ingredients. And for those of you, by the way, who are vegans, I apologize for the bacon. I'm also going to apologize to those of you who are gluten insensitive or gluten intolerant. Why? Because we've got a great bread in the sandwich. And when you prepare your sandwich, it's the bread that's really important. Now, let me tell you why. This is the open and close to your talk, and you really want to rehearse these. We found that most presenters sort of relax and they do well when they get into their subject matter, but you really got to grab the attention of the audience. So this means you don't thank the committee for inviting you. You don't talk about the weather. You don't talk about the local sports team. You know, you've got serious competition for the audience's attention. Now, there might even be a concurrent presentation, and if your audience members aren't engaged with you, you know, they'll get up and leave and go see the presenter down the hall. And oof, I've had that happen. Not very comfortable. You're also competing with people's cell phones, and the worst and the biggest competition, the most formidable, are the 10,000 daily distracting thoughts that are going through their brains. In our training and coaching at ChangeWell Training Academy, we help clients create great, memorable opens that get their presentations off on the right foot. I want to tell you a little story about the importance of grabbing people's attention right away. One of our students was invited to give a practice management talk to a group of recently graduated NDs. Now, this is an audience for which she had very little familiarity. You know what her idea of an open was? She was going to ask the audience whether they should pronounce it naturopath or naturopath. And then she would ask the audience to raise their hand and signal which pronunciation they preferred. Ugh, yuck, phooey. This is bad on so many levels. We helped her rework her open to create some suspense and to captivate the audience. Here's what we did. We had her come out on stage with a good-sized brown paper bag. She walked on stage without saying a word. She put the bag on the table, just as it looks right now. And she spent 10 seconds gazing at the audience members before saying a word. What's everybody thinking? Well, what's in the bag? What's in the bag? So her first phrase was designed to evoke images and emotions. Here's what she did. She asked the audience to hearken back to their days of training, to remember the sense of pride and accomplishment they had when they donned their white coat. Then she pulled a white coat out of the bag. Then she reached into the bag again. She pulled out a stethoscope. And again, asked the audience to rekindle the sense of awe and excitement they felt the first time they listened to a human heartbeat. Finally, She reached into the bag and pulled out the comprehensive marketing plan that all the students were given during their training, with detailed instructions how to set up, run, and promote their practices. And then, to the chorus of chuckles and a bevy of shaking heads, she remarked, "What? You didn't get the marketing plan?" So the upshot of all this is she got an engaged audience, ready, eager, and willing to hear a message of possibilities. Now, when it comes to the meat of your talk, there are some ways to sort of make the message more tasty, more memorable, and more impactful. And Robert's going to discuss this now.
So one of the things that we think is really important, if you hearken back to what we talked about earlier, this idea of creating an emotional connection with the audience, it's really important that your talk not just be all information. There's got to be some feeling in there as well. And there are some performance techniques that we teach in our workshops that will allow you to do this. But the goal is to kind of equally light up their brains and inspire their hearts. And one of the best ways to do that is to tell stories. And the reason why is because if I put up a chart with, a fact or a number or, a chart with a trend line, et cetera, that's going to be perceived in the brain in two particular areas. But if I tell a story, and it's a story rich in visual detail, like the one that Mark just told you, that was a story, that can light up as many as 7 receptor areas in the brain, and the retention of that story will be far greater than any set of facts and figures on a PowerPoint slide. So what makes a story great? Here are a couple of things. First of all, you don't tell stories without a clear point. The point has got to move the action forward and add something to your central thesis. It's got to be short. It's got to be captivating. And the way to make it captivating is, I'll give you an example. I landed at the airport. I got my bags. I got in a car and I went to the, is that a story? No, that's not a story. That's a narrative. That's a point-by-point, step-by-step thing. What's different is it was cloudy and cold when I landed. I was shivering as I stood in the outdoor baggage claim line because it was starting to rain. Do you see how I'm starting to build in feeling kinds of things? So I'm actually creating a movie, a mental movie, so that you can actually place yourself in that situation. That's one of the ways that you captivate. It's engaging the senses. The more senses you engage with your story, if you can have something that they feel, touch, smell, taste, the better. And it really needs to be aimed at a universal feeling, something that is common to all human beings. In your talk, one of the things that we find in our workshop is that one of the big sources of presentation anxiety is we're all concerned as we get on stage as to how am I going to do, as if the success of the talk depends on me. We're going to suggest to you that the success of your talk doesn't depend on you because you're not the hero. You are the messenger. The people who can take your message and do something with it are not the ones standing on stage. They're not you. They're the people in the audience. So your job is to deliver the message and let them do whatever it is they do with the message. As long as you've done your job to the best of your ability, that's really all it's up to you. And that really is a matter not of skill, not of innate talent, but actually practice and learning of skills. So, and always keep in mind, you're there to ignite a possibility in the minds and hearts of your audience. That's your number one goal. So let's talk about a structure for memorability. Mark talked about the sandwich and so on. Here's something that I think is really worth knowing about, and that is a great TED Talk by Nancy Duarte called The Secret Structure of Great Talks, and you can Google this and find it online. What Nancy discovered as she analyzed 2 of the greatest speeches of the modern world, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream and Steve Jobs' masterful introduction of the iPhone, is that those 2 talks, very different in subject matter, have the same exact structure. And Here's the structure. You deliberately alternate between the world as it is now and the world as it could be if the vision or dream that you're presenting in the talk is implemented. So here's a little structural diagram of how it works. Let's apply it to the talk that we were giving on hormones. First point, why we feel fat. You want to state the problem. You want to mention the symptoms and causes, get people on your side because they're experiencing that. You want to aggravate the problem. You want to tell them if you leave this untreated, here are the costs, consequences, and impacts. You want to tell them that there's a solution, so you're moving from the problem to the solution. You want to tell them what the solution is, what it does, how it works, why it works. And then you want to tell them about what's the new reality if you take on this solution and you implement it in your life. That's point number one. The rest of your talk is just rinse and repeat. You take that exact same structure. You did why we feel fat, what the problem is, what you can do about it. Now we move on to why you feel tired, what the problem is, what it costs you, what you could do about it, how you'll feel if you do something. So your goal here is to actually prove to the audience with this kind of a presentation that you can help them by actually helping them. This kind of presentation involves absolutely no hype. You're not selling, you're teaching, and you're creating a new possibility. And as you do it, they have a direct in-person experience of who you are. You demonstrate your expertise, you do it in a way that has them experience your humanity, and that makes it easy for them to choose you, and it gives them a reason, a call to action if you give them an invitation, just a small step that they can take to improve their lives. And as I say, you've done this without having to sell anything. And in fact, you've enhanced your reputation as a practitioner. Now, from having worked on lots of talks with lots of practitioners in our workshops, you might still have some anxiety about actually getting up there and talking. That's normal, Mark. And,
Right.
And oddly enough, we have some suggestions.
Sure. Let's turn now to how we actually turn anxiety into strength. Okay, the symptoms: sweaty palms, heart racing, shaking, your stomach's in knots, eyes are wide, you're tongue-tied. What's the diagnosis? Stage fright? You've just encountered and fallen in love with the object of your desire, the individual with whom you're going to spend the rest of your life, and it hits you like a thunderbolt. And your autonomic nervous system reacts with all of these signs and symptoms. So if you think about it, these feelings of excitement and wonderful anticipation, they're very close to the feelings of dread that many people experience when they have to give a talk. Energy and anxiety are two sides of the same coin. You need energy and excitement to create and to deliver a great presentation. Otherwise, it'd be flat. The key, though, is to remove the blocks that get in the way, to do what we call slaying the presentation anxiety dragon. Now, Robert and I teach a mantra that I've been using for the last 30 plus years, ever since one of my co-authors taught it to me when she noticed my pre-presentation anxiety. It's 4 simple statements that you repeat to yourself prior to your talk, and you can repeat it over and over and over again. It begins with, I'm glad I'm here. You say that to yourself. Wow, I'm glad I'm here. It's great to be in North Dakota in winter to address all 10 of you who've gathered to hear me speak. You know what? No matter where you are, you've got to project happiness. And if you say this to yourself, that you're glad to be there, that you'll feel it, and then you'll smile. And if you smile and you look happy, you know what? Your audience will pick up on this energy. The next phrase is, I'm glad you're here. Isn't it wonderful that people came to see you? In fact, who knows, they might even be paying to hear you speak. Without an audience, there's no need for you to talk about your great works. So you've got to reflect that fact that you're glad to be there and project gratefulness. So you're happy and you're grateful. Now, here comes the biggie, particularly for healthcare practitioners. And so this, I know what I know, is really the antidote to the most common feeling that and block that healthcare practitioners run into. Now, if you're speaking to a consumer group, chances are you're going to know more than they do. I mean, so it's really not the case. But what about when you speak to other professionals? there's always this fear, this lingering sense that, oh my goodness, all of these people know more about this subject than I do. Well, you know what? It might in fact be true, but here's what's important to remember. Your synthesis, your experience, the way you weave your stories together, your analogies, your anecdotes, they're all unique. And your talk may be just the spark that clarifies, demystifies, and ignites changes in the people listening to you. And the last one, of course, is I care about you. Now, if you really care about the attendees, what are you going to do? You're going to vary the tone, volume, and the pacing of your voice, because you're just not going to be talking to them for 40 minutes like this. You need to eat more fiber every day, get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, exercise regularly, and floss it after each meal. That's hard to do, actually. So, to maintain audience interest, it's a good idea to shift up your presentation every 15 minutes. That's why Bob and I are going back and forth about 4 times in this presentation. Do something different, show a video, bring someone else up to speak, break people into a dyad. In fact, erring on the side of interactivity is a great thing. Now, also in the course of the presentation, you'll want to master your postures and your gestures. So now, earlier I had mentioned that this webinar focuses on composing and not performing. But I know that many of you out there want to know, how can you perform better? So we've put together a little kit for you, and Robert's going to tell you what it includes.
Thanks, Mark. Can we actually show it to them? Yeah. So for each of you who is attending today, we're going to send you, you don't have to do anything. We're going to send you a speaker resource kit. It contains chapter 4 of our book, which is entitled Master the Presentation Basics. You're also going to get a full color poster, which you can use as a guide to preparing and rehearsing your talk. And you can use it afterwards. We suggest you video your talk. Afterwards, you can use the poster as a guide to critiquing and improving your talk. You're also going to get a free subscription to our brand new video series called Presentation Secrets of America's Leading Motivational Healthcare Speakers. This is a series of videos about 2 to 3 minutes in length. We show you a short clip of a leading speaker speaking. We identify the specific tactic that they're using, and we break it down on screen. We tell you what it is, why it works, what effect it produces, and how you can use it in your talk. And you're going to get all of that for free, because we are grateful that you came today and that you're spending time with us. Appreciate it. So let's talk a little bit more about how to be ethical and persuasive without having to sell anything. You don't need me to tell you this, because you know it, you experience it. Unless you do something to stand out, you're one of the herd. We've also discussed how inherently difficult it is to market a medical business effectively. Our message today is that one of the best business decisions that you can make is to leverage the power of information through education-based marketing. Here's one of the big reasons why it works: Google. They have tweaked their algorithm in favor of web pages that are authoritative, unique, original, and useful. Let's look at that first word, authoritative. You can see that inside that word, there's another word, author, someone who creates content, someone who is perhaps famous, or at least respected, or maybe both, for creating that content. If you're a practitioner and you have competition, you are at risk for being just one of the herd. As you have no doubt experienced, that's an increasingly uncomfortable place to be. You're like a black and white cow. It's hard to tell the difference between you and all the other people with your degree. If you specialize, you move up in the world and you're different. You're now a purple cow, but you're not that different. But look what happens if you're a content creator and people find your content useful. Now you're an authority. If I'm looking for natural weight loss in San Diego and I Google it, I may get 20 or 30 options, some of which are medical practices. How do I choose? If you're the one who wrote the book and I see the book on your website, I'm going to think naturally that you know more than all the other people who didn't write the book. Now, if I see you on my local TV news and I hear you talking about natural weight loss and I like you because you've got a kind of interesting personality, now I know that you're a weight loss doctor, you wrote the book, and you're a little bit of a celebrity. And if you're reasonably cool, I might give you a call because, I could lose a few. If you become nationally known, you transform from a purple cow, a cow with a book, you become like a unicorn, a magical creature, the celebrity authority. And that's the highest paid and most respected rank on the pyramid. If you achieve that status, it could be life-changing. You can probably think of a couple of doctors who are unicorns, celebrity authorities. They have TV shows. So that's what's possible. And the road begins when you make the choice to dedicate your practice to education-based marketing. It's a strategy that helps you gain respect, trust, influence, expert status, referrals, patient loyalty, immunity to competition, and the power to motivate action. And you can accomplish all of these by giving a few talks. And each talk you give is content. Record it, transcribe it. You can use it on your website. You can use it in your social media. You can make videos, put them on your YouTube channel. You can create special reports and offer them strategically to begin the conversion process. So having done that, how do you convert people who show up for your talk? How do you get them actually into your waiting room? Well, it starts with these two steps. First of all, give a great talk that makes them want more from you, and then offer them more in return for their name and email. That's got to be the goal. That's the measure of success. I gave a talk to 20 people. I got all their names and emails. Terrific. Here are some tactics that you can use. And we've oriented these in terms of the way we like them. We use these. Some of these are more effective than others, and we've gone from least effective, in our view, to most effective. Number one, when you end your presentation, make the last slide in your deck a contact slide. You say, thanks for coming. If you'd like to reach me, take out your phone and take a picture of this slide. I'll leave it up while I answer questions. You can go ahead and do that right now. Take a picture of this slide. Don't worry, you'll see it again. Business cards. If you're talking to a professional or business group and they're likely to have cards, make them an offer in return for their business card. Something like, we've created a 1-hour video course on this subject. You can have it for free. Just drop your business card in the box on the way out. Thanks for coming. Let's say it's it's not a group with likely to have business cards, or it's casual or whatever. You bring the cards. Have some pre-printed cards. Before the talk, put one on every chair. I've seen this done at conventions. It's enormously successful if the offer made from the platform is compelling. Something like, we've created an ebook with 27 all-vegan party recipes. Fill out the card. We'll send it to you via email. Something like that. This is one of our favorites. You put an offer up on the screen and you invite people to grab it by texting. And what we say is simply text the word enhance to 42828. If you try it right now, you'll see what happens. We have an autoresponder sequence that clicks in and it'll send you something. But this is our favorite. Pre-register everybody. Hold an in-person or online event and require pre-registration. This is what we've done. We have all your emails. Thank you very much. And we're going to use them. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you additional value. We're going to give you the speaker resource kit, chapter 4 of the book, Presentation Basics. We're going to give you the full color poster, and we're going to give you the presentation secrets of America's leading motivational healthcare speakers. And you're going to get all of that for free just because we love you.
That's great. And there are some incredible presenters on the motivational video series, folks like Mark Hyman and Shilpa Saxena, and et cetera. Some really wonderful folks. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Hope you've learned some helpful ways to compose your talk. But before we end it, we'd like to share a secret with you. And it's, what do the great speakers do? You know what they do? They create what is known as a signature talk. What happens is that the talk is essentially the same. Maybe they modify it a little bit, but because the audience is always changing, but the presentation stays essentially the same. And they get really, really good at performing that one signature talk. They've mastered both the structure and the delivery. Now, in our work at ChangeWell Training Academy, we offer a program called Present Well. We often will do this in group trainings and workshops, but we also do some individual coaching. And all designed to help you both craft your presentation and deliver a signature performance. We don't take on a lot of clients. We just have a handful of folks, and we work really hard to help them. So if you've got a big presentation coming up and you really want to crush it, well, maybe you don't want to go it alone. If you need or want our help, you can contact us very simply at team@changewell.com. You can also hit us up at on LinkedIn. And then just stay tuned now as watch your email for the free speaker kit that includes the poster, the excerpt from our book, the registration for our America's Leading Motivational Healthcare Speaker Series. So on behalf of both of us, Robert and I, certainly enjoyed this opportunity to spend some time with you. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you have other kinds of ideas or questions.